we're down to three conferences. We went over the group of five 2 weeks ago. We went over the ACC last week. Today is June 18th. And we are getting ready to rock and roll on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon, talking about the Big 12 this time. The Big 12 in our latest round of conference standing projections for the 2024 college football season. I'm ready to rock and roll. We are June 18th. We got a couple of more weeks. We got next week for the Big 10, and then after that, we got the next week for early July, and that is we end it in the conference standing projections with the SEC. We're at the Big 12, next week Big 10, in 2 weeks the SEC. So hold on to your hats. Hold on to whatever you got to hold on to, because it's going to be a doozy in these next couple episodes for College Football Edition of Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, or listening on Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday just to sit back, watch, and listen to some College Football Edition and some news and coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you have to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X, Instagram, Facebook, just type in Pigskin Frenzy, follow, like each page. Type it in, follow, like each page. You'll get an episode update. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's college football question, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, our website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you will find all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy, a home and about me page. You can contact me on that home and about me page at the very bottom, as well as all things going for Pigskin Frenzy, including our affiliations page with our partners at the Beard Club. Guys, if you need an excellent shave, Father's Day just happened. I hope everyone had a great Father's Day, by the way. Father's Day just happened. There was a great sale going on, but it's not too late. It's not too late to catch in on the action with the Beard Club. Significant others of your male counterpart, men listening to the show, you're not going to be disappointed. If you have facial hair, and if you need a great shave and a good look to your face and facial hair, the Beard Club is the way to go. Guys, beard grooming kits, 15% off now. There was a Father's Day sale going on. As far as I know, it is still available. 25% off just by typing the code FATHER, and you will get your 25% off coupon. Guys, Father's Day sale, probably most likely still active until the time being. Just go to the Beard Club and get everything that you need. 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, beard and face wash, body wash, beard balm, beard oil, boar bristle brush, razor, loofahs, you name it, at the Beard Club. Go to my website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Click on the affiliations page. You're going to go to the logo, and once you see the logo, click on it. It will lead you straight to the website. Go to my link tree on Facebook, X, and Instagram on the bios. There, you will click on the bios, and you will click on that link, and once you go to the link tree, you'll see the Beard Club link. Click on it, and it will take you to their website. The Beard Club, it is what can make your facial hair needs and grooming needs be met if you use the product. Thank you so much for being our proud partner of Pigskin Frenzy and of this podcast. College Football Day today. If I botched that intro, I'm sorry. I was just so excited to get ready to go, talking about college football and talking about what's going on in college, and talking about, the conference standing projections that we're about to get into. Before we kick off the conference standing projections, I just think it's kind of fitting that we're talking about the Big 12 and a lot of the news we've been hearing about what's going on with conferences. So let's just take a moment before we go into our 16-team list. We'll try to go through it as quickly as possible. And while you guys are driving or listening or mowing your grass, listening to the show, again, thank you. And if you're watching it sitting down on YouTube, again, thank you. So yes, with conferences, there's been some rumors, especially surrounding the Big 12, that according to Ross Dellinger from Yahoo and The Athletic, a lot of credible news sources, that the Big 12 is in talks right now with a bunch of different companies for a sponsorship deal that would and it's also a naming rights deal that would rename the conference. They would put their brand on the conference name. So All-State is what I've been hearing is the leading contender. Think about this, and a lot of people were talking about this and asking what my thoughts on were about this. This is before we talk about the conference standing projections. The All-State 12. Think about how that sounds. I'm pausing just for a little bit. Just comprehend how the All-State 12 sounds in your head. I know what some of you guys are thinking. The Big 12 sounds a lot better, doesn't it? It does. It sounds tremendously a lot better, and it does. That is what I've been hearing. I don't have any other thoughts other than wow. And welcome to the new era of college football. I keep saying that, but welcome to the new era of college football, because that's how college football is, man. That's how it is. And that's what we're going to get out of college football is we're going to get that, money, the money deal, the TV deals, the realignment, the transfer portal, NIL. It is what makes up this version of college football now. So welcome to the new era of college football. Conference USA is following suit as well. I don't know about others yet, but the Big 12 is the first Power 5 conference to get a hold of this and start be in talks with sponsorship naming right deals. So we'll see what happens. Will it be the All-State 12? I don't know. If I had to bet my money on anything, I've been tweeting about it and I've been posting about it. Where's Pop-Tarts at? Where is Pop-Tarts? That's what we've been wanting. That's what I've been wanting. The Pop-Tart Bowl is one of the best bowl games in our recent memory. Pop-Tarts, the Pop-Tart 12, guys, the Pop-Tart 12. That's what I've been waiting to hear. I'm curious about it. I'm ready to go with it. The Pop-Tart 12. So just take that as you will. At Pop-Tarts on X. I'm going to keep tweeting them, please. Respond and follow. And, just help me out here. Help me out with Pop-Tarts. And let's talk about, the Pop-Tart being the leading contender for the Big 12. All jokes aside, I'm still going to call it the Big 12. So let's talk about the conference standing projections. I just wanted to talk about how college football is shaping up, especially when it comes to conferences. But let's talk about the Big 12. As we know, it is still the Big 12, ladies and gentlemen. Let's chill out for a little bit. Let's talk about the 16 teams. As we know, the departure of Oklahoma and Texas, they're going to the SEC, and it is, caused a ripple effect in college football. And by ripple effect, I mean ripple effect. And ripple effect in the terms of, it's been one of those things where other teams are going to different conferences. Like Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA are going to the Big Ten. You also have, and it caused really Oklahoma and Texas. You can do a whole episode about this, how it caused a ripple effect of college football and how it killed a conference. It literally killed a conference. It killed the Pac-12. It caused a ripple effect because everyone saw they were jumping suit. Well, maybe we need to jump suit too for better TV deals and money. Okay, they jumped to the Big Ten. And then Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado jumped to the Big 12. And the Pac-12 was just left with, Oregon State and Washington State. And I've always said just end the Pac-12 and demote Washington State and Oregon State to the group of 5, since they decided to stay, right? So, and they have a scheduling alliance with the Mountain West. Probably will compete for the Mountain West / Pac-12 remaining Pac-12 championship. I don't know. But and it's one of those things where you look and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, it caused a ripple effect. So they ended up leaving. The Big 12 had 14 teams. Now it has 16 teams, thanks to it being just regular 12 teams, and then 4 more teams were added, so 16 teams. Do the math. Brett Yormark is one of those. He's the commissioner of the Big 12. He is excited about where the Big 12 is heading. He thinks that it's going to be a strong conference, and I agree with him. I think the Big 12 is still going to be a strong conference now that 16 teams are in it. But he was still disappointed with Texas and Oklahoma, departing from the SEC. I mean, of course, your 2 stronghold in the Big 12 teams are departing. So I agree with that. But we got some teams in the Big 12 this year that we need to keep an eye out for. And a lot of them involve the newly realigned teams that joined the conference. So 16 teams, 2 teams on the top. Only one will be Big 12 champion in December. Two teams will play each other in Dallas. So we're going to talk about our list and who we think is going to be number one. Let's kick it off with 16 and talk about this. Number 16 for the Big 12 for our conference standing projections, Baylor. Listen, Baylor. You're going to think, why didn't you put one of the new conference realigned teams or even last season's realigned teams? Because you had it Houston, BYU, Cincinnati, and UCF last season. Why didn't you just do one of those? I'm going to get there. Baylor, to me, depth-wise, and you've heard me on this podcast, you've heard me on this show plenty of times say that depth is big in college football. It is big in football. You have to have depth, especially in college. You have to have depth in college football. And guess what? I don't think Baylor has that depth. I think Baylor's good, but I think Baylor can be good, and I think they can rebuild. But I think they've lost some talent. I think Blake Shapen gone to Mississippi State and transferring and entering the portal to go there to start for Mississippi State in the SEC, and for Jeff Lebby has kind of caused a little bit of a discussion on who could be the new starting quarterback in Waco, Texas. I think Baylor at 16 right now. I think the scheduling right now for Baylor is a little bit too tough. I think that Dave Aranda is a fantastic coach. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a fantastic coach. I think he should remain there. But the scheduling, to me, is just really, really tough. I think that Utah playing Utah first is going to be a little bit of a tough game there. Air Force, they're going to bring everybody's best game. They got to play Colorado, BYU. Iowa State's going to be a tough one. Texas Tech's going to be a tough one. Oklahoma State's going to be a tough one. TCU's going to give them a fight. In West Virginia, Kansas, so on. And I think it's going to be a tough one. I really do. I think Baylor's going to be a team that will give it all, but there are some losable games on that schedule. That's why I have them at 16 right now. Baylor at 16. I think that as they develop through the season, I hope they prove me wrong because I'm a big fan of Dave Aranda. I like Baylor, but I think they prove me. I hope they prove me wrong and they move up a little bit and they perform outdo their expectations. But right now, I got them at 16. Number 15, Arizona State, listen to me, guys, the newly aligned team, Arizona State. Arizona State joining the Big 12. It's so weird seeing them as a Big 12, Big 12 team. But Kenny Dillingham entering his second season as head coach of the Sun Devils is going to get ready to rock and roll. I have him at 14. I think the transition is going to be a little bit different than where they were in the Pac-12. They got some games that are going to be a little bit interesting. They got Mississippi State second week. They open with Wyoming on the 31st. Texas State at Texas Tech, against Kansas, against Utah, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, UCF, Kansas State, BYU, Arizona, so on. Tough scheduling. I think it's a tough outing. I think they got the talent. Do they lose Jalen Rashada? Yes. That's okay, though. I think that Jaden Rashada was bound to get into the portal anyway, but I think Arizona State's going to be fine. I think they just need to rebuild, and they're in that rebuilding phase. Don't give up on Kenny Dillingham yet. I think he's a phenomenal coach and a phenomenal offensive coach. Give him time, but I think the scheduling right now is just too tough. They got a lot of losable games on there. I got them at 15 currently right now. Number 14, TCU. And you're thinking you're moving through these really quick. I apologize, but yes, I am moving through these quicker. TCU at 14. And TCU with head coach Sonny Dykes entering his third year as TCU's head football coach. Coming off, and you know what's so crazy about this, 2 years ago or 2 seasons ago, not this past national championship, but the last national championship, they were in it. They were the national, before the start of the 2023 season, they were the national championship runner-ups. TCU was. They played Georgia, got smoked. We're not going to talk about that, but they got smoked. Sonny Dykes had a solid team with him. And they had a solid team last year, starting out with Chandler Morris, and they had a solid team, right? TCU ended up last season going 5-7, didn't make a bowl game, had heartbreaking loss to Colorado to open up the season. Sonny Dykes entering his third year. But listen, that's okay, right? That's okay, guys. So I think it's going to be fine. I really do. I think it's going to be fine. Chandler Morris no longer there as the quarterback for TCU. As far as I know, he's no longer there. He is, I think he has graduated. The son of Chad Morris, Chandler Morris. They are, uh, they are thinking of starting. As I look up all my notes here, last time I checked, it was either going to be Haas Hingy, or as far as I know, Haas Hingy is in front currently right now. Either him or Josh Hoover as a sophomore. Josh Hoover could be the next starting quarterback for TCU. They got a lot of guys there at or you know at TCU, or mainly you can't forget about this one, Ken Seals at TCU. Ken Seals transferred from Vanderbilt, the quarterback who transferred from Vanderbilt in there, junior quarterback Ken Seals most likely could be the starting quarterback there. You got a lot of guys to choose from. I would think, now that I look at the notes, Ken Seals is on the roster. Ken Seals is probably your best bet at starting quarterback. So Ken Seals there at TCU. I think what's going to happen, though, why I put them at 14 is because of the scheduling. I think the scheduling is too tough. They got Stanford right off the bat, which they can win. They got LIU, another winnable game. UCF could be a winnable game. SMU is going to be tough. I think Kansas is going to be tough. Houston's going to be a little bit better than they were. I think Utah's going to be tough. Texas Tech, Baylor's going to be tough. Oklahoma State, and so forth. So Arizona, Cincinnati. I think the scheduling is going to be really hard. There are some games on there that they could win, but also losable games on there. Can they overcome my expectations? Absolutely. I may be totally wrong. That's why the key word in all this is conference standing at the end. Projections, and I put it emphasis on projections because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just giving you my projections. I just think that the scheduling is going to be tough for a lot of these teams, and I think scheduling is a little bit tougher than it was last year, and that's why I'm putting more emphasis on the scheduling. I think these are some games that are some losable games, but they're also winnable games. I think Ken Seals can be that guy, but is he going to be that guy enough to lead them to the promised land? I'm not sure. I think TCU is going to be 14, and I think that's a 5 spot for them currently right now. TCU at 14, a lot because of their scheduling. They got a good roster, but I think there's going to be some teams out there that just outplay them just a little bit in some of these games. So TCU at 14. Houston at 13. I believe in Willie Fritz. I'm a Willie Fritz guy. I think that Willie Fritz did really, really good at Tulane. Now here he comes at Houston. I think he is going to shock a lot of teams with a roster. I think they still are in their rebuilding year. I think they regroup. They have a lot of games on their schedule that could be a little bit tougher. That's why I put them at 13. I think it's a rebuilding season still for Willie Fritz, but I think in the near future, Houston can be a big problem in the Big 12. So 13, I have Houston because I think Willie Fritz is going to be in a rebuilding mode, but Willie Fritz is that guy to lead the program in the near future. So give it time for Houston. Just give it time. But I think Houston's at 13 right now only because of that rebuilding stage. Number 12, BYU. They take a go up a little bit. I think they go up a little bit last season. They were kind of on the downward a little bit, like almost close to last in the Big 12, but I think they transition up a little bit. I think they're more physical. I like their spring game and what I saw from them in the spring game. I think the Cougars are really good up front in the trenches. I think in the D-line and in the offensive line area, that's going to cause a little bit of a ruckus against other opponents. And I think the physicality of the Cougars this season could put them in some ball games. So I put them at 12. They're in tough games, but I think they're going to be at 12, and they may drop some of those games, but I think they're going to have a little bit of a dip or a trend upward because of how physical they have gotten over the all season. So number 12 is BYU. Number 11 is Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is going to take a dip, take an upward trend as well. I believe Scott Satterfield is going to have this team ready. He had them ready at Louisville. He was a solid football coach, and ever since he came back home to Cincinnati, I think that he is ready to rock and roll and ready to play some ball, right? He's ready to coach some ball, and Cincinnati, just more like the BYU, has gotten a little bit physical, and especially on the defensive side of things. I think the defense is what's going to keep Cincinnati in a lot of games, and I think that I'm preaching defense with Cincinnati this season. I think that Scott Satterfield is going to have them ready to go on the defensive side of things. And I think that there's going to be a lot of tough games on their schedule that they could lose and drop to, which is why I put them at 11. But it's a slow process. It's a slow rebuild of Cincinnati, and they're in the Big 12. They're just now starting to get accustomed to things in the conference. I got them at 11 only because of, only because of a lot of the games on their schedule are tough. They're just now getting accustomed to the Big 12. It's a slow process. You're starting to trend upward, but I got Cincinnati at 11 just because of that reason. But I think they're going to be much improved this season in the Big 12. Number 10, a new team entered, and after a 13-year absence of the Big 12, or the Big 8, if you will, Colorado. And Colorado is back in it, number 10, and you're thinking you're putting them at 10. Deion, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is one of the best college football players out there. And I'm talking about overall college football players on the field. He plays both ways, 60 minutes. You got to have insane cardio to do that. Oh, my goodness. One of the best premier athletes in the sport of football, period. I wholeheartedly believe that. It's not Travis Hunter. I think the transfer losses, I think the roster and the depth has got to get a little bit better, and I think the depth is getting better. I think the development of Shedeur Sanders at quarterback is a big key thing in this. It's a big key thing. That's why I have him at 10. It's a huge thing. And I think what most people don't get is they went 4-8 last year in the Pac-12. They won some games, but they also lost some games that they shouldn't have lost. 4-8, much improved. I think they're going to be much improved this year. I think they're going to win more than 4. I just have them at 10 because I think those key games in the conference are going to catch up to them. They have Utah. They have Oklahoma State. Those are two big losses there. If you look at their schedule and look at Colorado, I just think right now, scheduling wise, it's a little tough. Could they win their first game? Absolutely. Yes. Nebraska's going to give them a tough one. It's in Lincoln. They're going to give them a tough one. You have Colorado State. They're going to give them they gave them a tough one last year in Fort Collins. They got Baylor, which Baylor could give them a tough one. You don't know about Baylor. UCF. They got Kansas State, another team. Think about this. Kansas State, Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, another tough one, and then Utah, then Kansas. They finish the season with Oklahoma State. I think those are some tough teams. I really do. Those are some tough teams, tough coaching. Deion is going to be a tough coach. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, is going to be a very tough coach, and he's going to lead his team and do his best and coach all out. Shedeur Sanders has to be ready and develop for these games. I think until proven otherwise, I'm not seeing the development aspect. I saw a lot of traits that he possessed in a lot of games. In the spring is what I'm talking about. I saw a lot of the traits that he had in last season games in the spring. And I don't think right now that is what's going to win the Big 12. I think Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback. I do not think he is the number 1 overall draft pick right now. I think he needs to develop in a lot of areas, and he needs to develop pretty quick. I mean, the college ball season, it's a little less under 2.5 months, about to be closer to 2 months, maybe even a month and a half, as we're entering July here pretty shortly. So he's got to develop and work on some of his traits. Hopefully he's doing that right now over the summer. But right now, Colorado at 10, because of the scheduling, we got to see what Shedeur is going to be made of too, because a lot of the grind is going to be on him as well. So Colorado at 10, I just think that's where we're at right now with Colorado here at Pigskin Frenzy. UCF's at 9. Central Florida is at 9. I think they're going to be a little bit more developed as well. I think they're going to be much improved. They're going to go, even, deeper and further. if we talk about their football program and their football and who they got it, who they have New Hampshire right off the bat. That's going to be a win. On Thursday, September 29th, they got to play Sam Houston, another win. TCU is probably going to be a tough one. Colorado could be a tough one. Florida, they got to play Florida at night. Got to go to Gainesville. They got to play Cincinnati. Play Iowa State, which going to Ames, Iowa is a pretty tough environment at Jack Trice Stadium. Very tough. I don't know. A lot of tough ones. BYU, going to play Arizona State, West Virginia, always tough, and then Utah. And Utah finishing the game. They're playing Utah last on Thanksgiving weekend. Tough scheduling. UCS at 9. I think they have the players. They're building their depth, but not enough depth, I think, to be in the top 5 or close to it right now. But Gus Malzahn's doing something up there. We still believe in Gus Malzahn. Just may have like I said with Cincinnati, slow process. It's like a ladder. You're climbing a ladder. Just climb the ladder. It's a slow process to get up to that top. So number 9 is UCF. Number 8 is Texas Tech. Guns up. If you're watching me on YouTube, guns up. If you're listening to me on audio, I'm throwing up the guns up for Texas Tech. Listen. I like the Red Raiders. All right, don't get me wrong. I think Texas Tech. As I look at my nose right here, I like Texas Tech. I think Joey McGuire is a solid football head coach. He's a really good head coach. Their roster is very underrated, especially at defensive back with Braylon Lux at defensive back, super senior. They have Cameron Valdez at running back. They got a lot of guys on this team. They really do. If you look at the freshman, the quarterback room is pretty solid. They got Will Hammond at quarterback as a freshman. They got a lot of guys on their team, man. They really do. Jack Rodriguez, redshirt junior at linebacker, solid player there. They just have a lot of guys that they have Cameron Brown as a sophomore at quarterback who could take over for the Red Raiders. They got a lot of guys on their team that are just solid. Ben Morton still in the lineup and still could compete for the job. I think that they got a solid, underrated team, but their scheduling is a little bit tough. Abilene Christian, they could beat them, but if you look at the rest of their scheduling, I mean, you got Washington State, which could be a winnable game. You got Arizona. You got Baylor, TCU, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, West Virginia. Those are some games there that could be some losable games that could throw you back a little bit. So number 8 right now, I got Texas Tech because I think there are some games on there that I could lose. And I think Joe McGuire right now is rebuilding his team, and they played a lot of teams close, including Oregon last season, if you remember correctly. But I think they lost a little bit at some key positions, which could throw them back off a little bit. So number 8 right now, I got Texas Tech. Number 7, West Virginia. Neil Brown finished pretty solid last season. It was a make it or break it season for head coach Neil Brown, and Neil Brown got the job done for the Mountaineers. He exceeded expectations. I did not see it coming. They were the Missouri of the Big 12. And you did not see it coming. You really didn't. West Virginia played solid. They played a lot of teams solid, a lot of the good teams that they did lose to, but they played them close and solid. Made it to a bowl game. West Virginia is a team that I would not take lightly coming up, man. I would not take lightly coming up this year. They were a solid football team last season. As we go to their notes and talk about last season, and look, they went 9-4. They went 9-4 last season, won 9 games. They lost to Penn State pretty bad, but then they turned it all around. 2024 season now could be tough one. Could be a tough one. They got to play Penn State August 31st in Morgantown, West Virginia. Penn State, right off the bat, could be a loss, but they got some other tough schedules, tough games. Kansas, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Kansas State, Arizona, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Kansas State, and Arizona back to back to back to back. it is going to be tough. That's a tough gauntlet right there up until Halloween, going from literally September 21st to Halloween. Tough gauntlet there for West Virginia. They can pull off some upsets and they can land themselves at 7, but those are some tough games there. They're a solid football team. I think they're going to do solid, but a lot and pretty much could be about the same as they did last season. But at number 7 right now, I think those are some games right now. There's some losable games right there. So number 7 right now for me is West Virginia for the Big 12. Number 6, Arizona, team I just mentioned, new realigned team, Arizona at 6. I said this during their spring outlook, how I view it, especially with new head coach Brent Brennan. Their culture is phenomenal. I love their culture. Taitaroa McMillan at wide receiver, a stud wide receiver with McMillan back. Noah Fafita back at quarterback. They got a lot of solid players still with the team. From Jed Fish's team. And Brent Brennan's going to recruit some guys in there that's going to change the trajectory of that program, I believe. But Brent Brennan, his culture is great. I just think it's a rebuilding year right now, but I think the talent right now is good enough to leave them at 6 and get them into the middle of the pack. They can win some of these games. I think there are some games that they could lose to as well, and that's why I put them at 6. I think Arizona at 6 right now in the middle of the pack. How I said it with the spring outlook is probably where we're at right now with Arizona. So number 6, Arizona currently in the middle of the pack for me right now, but they have a good, solid first season in the Big 10 or Big 12 in the Big 12 at number 6. Number 5, Iowa State. I say this because Iowa State has just finished so close to the top, and they have come so close every single season. That's why I'm putting them at 5, because I think Matt Campbell is a great football coach. I think I still believe in Matt Campbell's vision. They have a lot of talent on this team. Defensively, they are physical and they are solid, and they're going to keep up with a lot of teams this season on their schedule. I got them at 5 because I would not be surprised if they upset a few teams and found their way into the Big 12 championship game. They've come close each and every season to at least coming close to making it to Dallas in December. Do not count out Iowa State. Do not count out Matt Campbell and Iowa State. I have them at 5. They have an underrated roster, underrated quarterback room, underrated at skill positions. I think they're a solid football team. I think the competition is going to be maybe a little bit too much. That's why I put them at 5. But I think they can come close to making it to Dallas. Number 5 is Iowa State. Number 4, Kansas. Jalen Daniels is back. And we all thought he was going to go to the NFL. We all thought he was either going to transfer or go to the NFL. But he said that he was rock chalk for life. Rock chalk entering his final season. Jalen Daniels was hurt majority of the season. Kansas State, close football team a couple of years prior. They went undefeated a couple of years ago. And 2022, they were undefeated halfway, 6-0, 7-0, and they were the ringleaders of the Big 12. No one saw it coming. They had a great season last year as well. Kansas has been doing really, really good. Lance Leipold is a solid football coach. He is still at rock chalk. He isn't going anywhere for right now. A lot of teams have been offering him other coaching jobs of how good of a coach he is and how he has transcended this Kansas football program when they're known as a quote-unquote basketball school, right? But Kansas has been playing some solid football over the past couple of seasons and a couple of years. So Jalen Daniels back at quarterback. They're going to win some games, and they're going to come close to making it to Dallas. I think the teams up front, though, are going to probably catch them right now. And number 4 for Kansas to me is suffice. I think they could drop a couple of games, and this is what puts them at 4. But I think Kansas is going to have a good year. Their roster's underrated, and I like the Jayhawks currently right now. Number 4, Kansas. 3, 2, and 1. We got 3 more. Number 3, Oklahoma State, the team that made it to the Big 12 title game last season as the Big 12 champion runner-ups. The runner-ups of the Big 12 last year, Oklahoma State is at number 3. I think Alan Bowen returning is huge. I think it's bigger than most people realize. He is an underrated threat in the pocket. He's a solid quarterback, redshirt, super senior. Alan Bowman gets a 7th year eligibility. 7th year eligibility, final year granted by the NCAA. He's back at quarterback, and I think the experience up front, on the line, and they got the best running back in the game with Ollie Gordon II coming back for this football team. I think Oklahoma State is going to be a threat on offense, especially on the ground with Ollie Gordon back as the Doak Walker Award winner. He's back. I think that they're going to cause some problems. I think they're going to come close. I think that right now, Oklahoma State at 3, because I think the other two teams right now that they could play could be a problem. It could cause some problems to their defense. I think the question that I got in the area right now is their linebacker spot at Oklahoma State. They have some solid players, but their linebacker spot, to me right now, I'm questioning right now at Oklahoma State. So I think they're going to get it under control, but I think number 3, Oklahoma State, they're going to come close again because of the veterans and the talent they have on their team. And it's Mike Gundy. He's a man. He's 40, and he's he's a solid football coach as always. Number 3, Oklahoma State, 2-1. Who do I have in the Big 12 championship game, and who's going to finish 2-1? Number 2, the second seed in the Big 12 championship game, Chris Kleiman in Kansas State. I said that last season, and I thought Kansas State was going to face Texas last season. I said it last summer, and I'm going to just go make a bold prediction and say it again. I just think Kansas State in the program right now is too solid. They don't have Will Howard anymore. He transferred to Ohio State. But they have another solid quarterback, if you've heard of him, Avery Johnson, the long-haired bad boy at quarterback out of Manhattan, Kansas, is a solid player. He was solid in the Pop-Tart Bowl against NC State, made a lot of great plays, and a lot of great plays that I would think Kansas State Wildcat fans are excited for. And I think right now he's a solid football player. He's a solid quarterback. I would most likely bet, obviously, Avery Johnson's going to start, and I think he's going to shred some defenses. And I think that Kansas State, because of him and because of a lot of the key players that they got on the front, on the offensive line and up front, they're going to out-physical some teams, and that's what's going to give them some good wins and lead them to Dallas in December for the Big 12 championship game. Kansas State at number 2 under the leadership of redshirt freshman now, redshirt sophomore technically, Avery Johnson at quarterback. Kansas State at number 2. Solid, just a solid, overall solid team is Kansas State. And if you look at their schedule, they got some they got some games on there that they could lose, but they got some games on there that they could win as well because of how good their coaching is and how good their roster is. Kansas State, is a solid team. Number 1 though in the Big 12. In the Big 12 hunt at the end, number 1 is Utah. I got Utah at number 1 right now. Utah at number 1, and Utah number 1 to finish the season number 1. I think Utah and Kansas State go to the Big 12 championship game. I think in the Big 12 championship game, who do I have winning the Big 12 championship? I have Utah defeating Kansas State to win the Big 12 championship in their first season. Kyle Whittingham, one of the longest reigning coaches in college football, and especially in one place. They have all their guys coming back from injury who missed last season. They're all veterans. They're all ready to play. A solid defensive line, a solid offensive line. They got super senior Cam Rising coming back to play college ball in the Big 12. To me, he's the most overall experienced quarterback in that conference. I think what Cam Rising does is solid. He's a solid football player, and I think he, in the experience and the veteranism of Cam Rising and the technicalism of Cam Rising, is what's going to lead them to win the Big 12 in their first season and grab a college football playoff spot in December and in January could be. So right now, winning the Kansas State, Utah, in the Big 12 championship game. Utah's at 1. Kansas State's at 2. Winning the Big 12 championship, I got Utah defeating Kansas State only because of the veteranism of Utah. I just think Utah's going to be so solid. They're bringing all their guys back. They're injury-free. it's kind of a bad news because Cam Rising's a solid and technical quarterback, and I think the veteranism of all this and Kyle Whittingham being a solid coach that he is, he will have all of them ready to play. So Utah at 1, Kansas State at 2. They go to the Big 12 championship with Utah defeating Kansas State in the Big 12 championship. So that was my conference standing projections for the Big 12. For the 2024 college football season, Utah defeating Kansas State and Utah at number 1, winning the Big 12 championship and going to the college football playoff. Guys, what do you think of this? What do you guys want? I'm going to post it on Instagram. I'm going to post it on X, and I'm going to post it on Facebook tomorrow, which is Wednesday. So tomorrow, which is Wednesday, I'm going to post it on all social media platforms. Comment down below and see what you guys think on YouTube and on the post tomorrow as well once you see the standings that I just said. That's all we got for today. A big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. All you have to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X, Instagram, and Facebook. Just type in Pigskin Frenzy. Follow like the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's college football question, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, check out the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.com or .weebly.com for all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy as well. Guys, thank you to our partners at The Beard Club. Go and get your products. They're great products, man. I got a stubble and a beard growing out right now, so I'm using some of their products. They're great. They keep you nice and refreshed, and they meet your grooming needs. So go to the Beard Club and get your products. Guys, big thank you again. Thursday, we will be back for an NFL edition of Pigskin Frenzy on the podcast, an NFL Thursday on the podcast. We're going to, talk about, how priorities need to be their actual priorities. And that's a good key word of what we're going to talk about. And hint, hint, they're a team in Texas in the NFL, so we're going to talk about that. So NFL Thursday on Pigskin Frenzy, episode 134 Thursday for NFL edition of Pigskin Frenzy. And then next Tuesday, the Big Ten conference standing projections next Tuesday. Until Thursday, I'm Joel Norris signing off. We will see you then for an NFL edition of Pigskin Frenzy Thursday. For everybody out there, please and always stay the course.